Greetings and welcome to the Tansson Talks show. I really hope that you are having an amazing day. I'm Brandon, of course, the host, and I always love doing this show. So today, I'm very excited for today's episode to have my guest here today, Julian. Welcome to the show, Julian.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Very, very good. It's been a good day, and I'm very happy to be here. Been looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you and that you wanted to be on the show.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, before we get started today, if you're able to go ahead and introduce yourself for the watching and listening audience here today, Julian.
Sure, sure. Well, I am Julian Barnes. I am going into my third year at ODU. I am a cinema and TV production major. I'm also the operations director or vice president of WODU Studios at ODU. As well as a member of the ODU Film Club. So, I mean, that's just my at school stuff. But yeah, I like to keep busy with stuff involving, artistry, media, just anything that's kind of in the creative realm and that, piques my interest and is, I guess, at least somewhat involved in kind of outreach or networking, just kind of collabing and creating different things with different people. So that's just a snippet about me, and I'm sure we'll get into the rest as we go along. But yeah, man.
Yeah, and I love what you just said there about creating different things for different people, and I think that's just so true for all of us creators.
Yeah, absolutely. That's as fun as it is to come up with my own crazy machinations that I come up with in my mind. It's definitely a whole different type of experience, but definitely a rewarding one when it comes to creating with other people, like collabing, getting different perspectives and everything. It's it's a different beast, and sometimes in some ways it can be like a beast in the not fun way. But I just love it. I love the whole process of you know from idea to execution, be that on film, on stage, a screen, wherever it is, wherever it ends up. I love the whole process. I really do.
I love that. And so, have you always been interested in this creative side of things, or is that something that's come up in more recent years for you?
Absolutely, I have. For as long as I can remember, I've just always been really fascinated and really, what's the word? Enamored. I think I'm using that word correctly. But I've always had a fascination with entertainment. Um, I think like the first thing I really fell in love with, just as a whole, was probably animation. Like with the typical things, like the Disneys and the Cartoon Networks, Nickelodeon, all that stuff. Always loved that stuff. And then over time, I really grew to, appreciate stuff like animation. But then the more stuff I saw, I really just started to love all of it, where it was, the dance side of things, the music, acting, definitely comedy. I say all of it sort of, for me at least, kind of meshes together in the web of, I always start with what makes me laugh or what inspires me, and then it kind of branches out from there. So it's really given me an appreciation for, like I said, all mediums of creation and artistic type stuff and everything like that. So it's definitely been something that I have been extremely interested in for my entire life, and at the stage that I'm at now, I'm glad that I'm uh, both getting the skills, getting the experience, but also meeting the people. And I'm glad all of that's kind of meshing together in a way where I can actually do something, as my mother would say, productive with it. I can actually branch out, find opportunities, meet more people, and at the end of the day, Lord willing, make some money with it all. So, I mean, hey, you can't get better than that.
Yeah, that is so true. And so I know you mentioned, of course, that you are in your uh, third year or going into your third year, I believe, at ODU. And
hmm
so, so how's everything been for you thus far, especially with your involvement in WODU and the film club?
It's been really, really cool, man. So WODU, I was fortunate enough to actually find in my very first semester at ODU because that was the main thing that I was looking for. Um, I was, obviously I made the choice to come to college, right? And so, obviously I'm there for, education and, all that stuff. But I'm like, I really want to meet some more people like me, some more creative types or, that are kind of involved with media and different things, just kind of find my people. And so I believe the first place I ever heard about the studio was, I think I was honestly just looking through like campus groups, just kind of seeing what was there on that. And then I found it and I was like, this is exactly what I've been wanting. This is what I've been looking for the whole time. So I went to the first general body meeting. I liked what I heard and saw and, just the energy of all the people that were there at the time. So then I joined. I think for the first, pretty much my entire first semester, I was really just like I don't think I think I was just a regular member, but if I had to classify it, I would say I was a video production assistant. So I was working uh, pretty much directly under the video director and to a lesser extent the sports director. I was just kind of filming games, help film, projects for classes, filming skits, just whatever I could help with. And, I tried to dive into, and I'm still that way now. Like I said, I just love creating. So anybody who has an idea or anything they want to film and I can be a part of it in any way, I always like to jump in. But, so yeah, I did that. And then I, showed up at a few different events, both I guess as a member as far as like to kind of assist with certain things, but also just as, someone wanted to enjoy the event. And so I think by my second or third one, I think it was pretty much everyone at the time that I can remember is like the general manager, video director, operations director at the time. And I think a few other people were like, you were always, you definitely have what it takes to be a director. You're always at events. You're always, so helpful and cheerful and this and that and the third. And I'm like, I literally just got here, but thank you so much for saying that. And so, yeah, I believe sometime by the end of that semester, they were hiring some more people to kind of fill in the spots of the directors who were leaving anyway. So I'm like, well, I might as well. And then now I help run the studio. So, I guess in the most shortest, least dramatic way possible, it was truly, I guess, in the sense of the studio, a rag to riches sort of thing. Started off as a regular member, and now I'm second in command. I actually was, fun fact, I was technically in total command for a few months. I didn't like that at all, but that was just the circumstances of some stuff that was happening at the time, so I kind of just had to step up. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey, but I've very, very much enjoyed my time at WODU. Meeting all the different people, being a part of not only a team, but also being a part of a leadership team and kind of getting that experience with, managing teams, kind of working with different personalities, different types of people and everything. It's been, it's truly been a rewarding experience, enriching one, and I honestly wouldn't have it any other way. I've really, really enjoyed it.
You mentioned that you were, temporarily for a little bit there, the top person. How was that for you? Since you mentioned that you didn't really go in wanting to be a person in charge, and then you end up, anyways, the person in charge.
Yeah, that was a really interesting process. So, like I said before, it was like towards the end of my first semester. They were, well, by they I mean the directors at WODU at the time. Some of them were leaving, and so they needed those positions filled anyway. And they usually give, not necessarily preference per se, but it works out a lot better if you kind of start off as a member or usually someone's under director first before you become a director, because that way they kind of, already have sort of like a baseline understanding of your general work ethic, how you interact with other members, stuff like that. So they can kind of feel that stuff out a little bit better. And so I believe at the time, the open positions were video and operations director, which I think I initially is like, again, since I had been primarily working under the video director at the time anyway. I think initially I kind of had my eye on that one, but it was seeming like since she already had an under director at the time, and so it seemed like that was most likely going to go to her under director, which it did end up going to. So then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll go for. No, I'm sorry. It was operations, video, and general manager. The general manager position was also open, but I was like, see, general manager, they're in charge of everything. I'm not trying to do that. I still want to answer to somebody, but I just want to be. I honestly, I think I work best as a number two guy, like as a right hand sort of thing. Just across the board, across different experiences, I felt that's where I do my best work. I don't have any immediate objections to being a full blown leader. It's just not necessarily, at least at this time, it's not anything I go out of my way to dive into. So I was like, okay, well, operations, number two, perfect. I'll just jump into that. And so, long story short, end up getting that position. All the other positions end up getting filled. And then what happened was the person who became the new general manager, they had some personal stuff come up over the summer. I never got the full story as far as, what actually kicked that off. But essentially, the new GM accepted the job, and then I guess was like in the process of kind of fully assuming the position, like getting all the training and the paperwork and yada yada. And then, like, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks before the semester started, some other stuff happened with them, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm leaving campus entirely and moving states, even though I've already accepted the position. So, good luck with that." We were just, okay, all right. I mean, Godspeed, best of luck to you, but like, now we have a whole vacancy that we thought was filled, and now it's, it was just kind of in flux for a minute, and so, as per the Constitution, because all organizations have a Constitution, the buck fell to me as second in command, became first in command. So that was an interesting time because I'm not going to lie to you. Anyone in the room at the time and anyone who asked me about it in the following days will tell you I definitely freaked out, panicked just a little bit because I was just like, that was the whole reason I went for the number two positions because I didn't want to be in charge of everybody, and now I am. So that was a day. But yeah, over time I did kind of get the hang of it, and I guess I was still operations director, but I was also like interim GM. So thankfully it was just on an interim basis, but it was interesting because it put me in kind of like a weird spot because on the one hand, on paper, diplomatically, yes, I was technically in charge, but since I wasn't the full-fledged GM, I couldn't really do stuff exactly the way I wanted to do it. As well as, even though I was technically fulfilling two positions, I was still only getting paid for my initial position. So I'm like, I mean, I get it, but like, I want more money, but it's okay. It's all good. But yeah, so that was an interesting few months, but I definitely learned a lot, and it was a lot that I could pass on to our current actual full-fledged GM, who has been doing a phenomenal job, really, really taking up that mantle and is doing the most with it in every conceivable way. And not only that, but definitely kind of, it's like me and him, we kind of have a iron sharpens iron sort of thing where it's like, I build him up, he builds me up I hold him accountable, he holds me accountable. So it's a really good dynamic, and I could not be happier to serve along somebody who, has the same type of drive as I do, if not more, in a lot of cases. So, interesting road, but I'm glad to where it led to, much like pretty much every other road in my life thus far.
Well, overall, I'm glad at least that it was able to work itself out. And although you didn't, want to, be the number one, um, yeah, I'm at least glad that you were able to at least have some experience to hopefully help you in your real position, as the number two person, as I suppose the 1.5 that you were at prior.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, and since you mentioned, like the other previous roads that you've been on and those that will come up. So prior to starting at ODU, like where were you overall, like in your life prior to coming to the university?
Right. So I guess I'll do a sort of mini backstory. So I'm so obviously ODU is in Virginia. I'm not originally from Virginia. I was actually born and raised in Colorado. Lovely place to grow up. Really enjoyed that. I was there for my first 19 years of life, and then once I kind of did some things and tried out, graduated high school and then tried a few different things. I eventually found my way to the Air Force. So then I did that for 6 years. That in itself was also a very interesting experience. I think about it and I kind of go back and forth. At the end of the day, overall, I say I wouldn't change how stuff went with like my Air Force journey, just because one, I did a lot of growing up that I definitely needed to do, but I also discovered a lot of things about myself, both um, things I didn't necessarily know I could do or think I could do, but also it made me realize a lot more of things I definitely know I can do and things I definitely want in life and from life. Um, so I say, like, if oh well, would you change anything about it? Yes and no. I would say yes because I wish I did a little bit more research, so I potentially could have been a little bit happier during my time there. But I also say no because, again, everything, at least I believe, everything happens for a reason. Good stuff, bad stuff. Like, even if you don't see where it leads at the moment, it does ultimately get you to where you need to be. And um, that's definitely been the case with me because, again, while I was in the Air Force, my particular job, um, see that can honestly be my problem, and I don't even mean to sound any type of way when I say this, but honestly, sometimes I really am too smart for my own good, and so it was one of those things where very, very early on, I mean, like weeks into my actual career, I kind of saw certain things and certain people for what they actually were versus what they were trying to tell me it was. Um, and so, literally 3 weeks into a 6 year career, I was like, I don't really like this, but I'm still under contract. So, ah! So, yeah, definitely, I definitely had a lot of good moments. Met a lot of great, great people, a lot of which I'm still very much in contact with to this day and consider family. Um, but it definitely wasn't all sunshine. Definitely some not so good times. Sometimes I really was like, man, you just had to sign the 6 year. You couldn't do the 4 year contract, the shorter one, so you could get out quicker. You had to do the longer one, stuff like that. But um, yeah, again, all roads led to where I am now, and where I am now is extremely happy, extremely grateful for the journey I've been on. And again, while it was while it wasn't always fun, it definitely taught me everything it needed to teach me. Helped me gain experience and wisdom and confidence just across the board in everything that I do and think about. And like I said, it led me to where I am now. A lot happier, a lot more educated. I got good people around me, and I just I have a much better understanding of myself and how to not only walk in my truth and like things that I know internally I want to do and should be doing in a sense. Um, but also it's kind of just, over the time, over the course of living, it's just kind of helped me to be like, um, it's actually okay to do that. Cause believe it or not, for the longest time, that was one of the main things I struggled with for a really long time, was kind of feeling like I needed this weird sort of spoken and unspoken permission to actually like follow certain dreams that I had, or like, this is going to sound depressing, but like be happy. I felt like I needed permission to do that. Um, but I'm starting to get to a place where it's like, no, or life really is what you make it. If you want to go after something, nobody's living my life but me. So it's like, you only get one of those. So you might as well spend it, chasing what you want to chase, pursuing what you want to pursue, and just, like I said, living in your full truth. And, you know, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I'd rather live with genuine, complete, utter failure than regret, because I've never been good with regret. So, um, yeah. So now I'm glad that I've gotten to that point.
Yeah, I'm certainly glad that you have, and of course, thank you so much for your service.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and so overall, since you mentioned that like throughout your life you've always been a creative person, so within your time and while serving, like were you still continuously thinking about like how you wanted to, I guess, proceed after you left the service, or with creative things in general?
Oh, absolutely. I would say I don't think it's any exaggeration to say that like a bare minimum of 95% of the time that was the main thing that actually kept me going. Because like I said, I really didn't enjoy my job. I enjoyed a lot of people at my job, but my job as a whole, I didn't really enjoy it at all. And so part of the reason I didn't enjoy it is because it was so physically demanding. And so by the time I got off of work, um, I would be extremely tired, extremely spent. So I would have very limited time and energy to devote to things that I actually cared about. And that was just during regular shifts. God forbid it was a 12-hour shift, or even when we were working full on 12s during, especially during the summer, brutal. So obviously everyone knows what a 12-hour shift is, but at least in a military sense, 12s, at least when I was working them, is you literally come into work for 12 hours a day, every single day, weekends included, until they tell you to stop. And they don't always give a clear timeline of when exactly that is. So they might say, oh, we're going to work 12s for a week or two, but then sometimes it can turn into 2 or 3 weeks or a month. Thankfully, I never experienced this, but I definitely heard some horror stories from people before I got to my base, where I think they were working 12s for like 3 or 4 months straight, like going into work every single day for 3 or 4 months straight for 12 hours. I'm like, no, I'm so glad I didn't have to go through that much of it, because that's insane. But so yeah, all that to say, that was definitely my main motivation. Like once I kind of figured out that, yeah, the Air Force is not going to be a long term thing for me, I'm like, well, what can I do? How can I do it? How can I execute? And what do I actually want to focus on? And I think that last one was actually, for me personally, one of the hardest things for the longest time, is because, I mean, I think we all get like that a little bit. Like we all have so many different, like we're not people for the most, actually, I personally haven't met anyone who's like this, but there's no one that I'm aware of that just fits perfectly into a box of something where it's like, oh, well, you like painting exclusively, so you're exclusively a painter. Almost no one is like that. Like any painter, songwriter, the ballerina, even like any across any medium, you find people where they like this, they like that, they dabble in this, they tried that, they have a passion for this. So that was really hard for me at first. Was kind of really picking a lane that I wanted to go down and kind of actually commit to learning, full stop. Because again, there are so many things that I'm interested in, so many avenues of creativity that I enjoy. But once I kind of got a better sense of that and how I kind of wanted to execute that, um, over time I was able to start walking in it a bit more, which was another thing that kind of led to um, ODU and the sort of different paths I'm pursuing now. So, um, yeah, definitely. Like every single day of my life, creativity has always kept me going, and it's always been like a driving thing for me to just keep pushing. Really, especially when there were times in life where I'm like, eh, I don't really want to be here anymore. But the creative part of me was like, no, you got to stick around. You still got stuff to do.
Well, in terms of, yeah, like I said, not fitting into the box, I completely understand that as someone that is, yeah, I was a media studies student that also did stuff like in strategic communication, but also I kind of like doing earth science stuff and literally almost every single other thing that I've ever done in my life, I've absolutely loved. And so it's just like finding out okay, if I have to pick one thing, what is that one thing? And I think that's just the hardest choice, especially if it's something that's like, I like it for pleasure, but do I want to do this for the rest of my life?
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so for you, like, when did you, I guess, come to the realization as to what you wanted to do, and was ODU like your top choice for after for doing your studies after leaving the Air Force?
Um, so that's actually kind of interesting. Even that in itself was sort of like a journey that's sort of evolved over time. Because so let me think. So yeah, so first of all, when it came time for me to actually out process and officially separate from the Air Force, just that by itself, because I had it's just you know what it's like. It's like Christmas times 1,000. That's just one of those things where this is all I care about. This is all I'm focusing on. I just want to get out of here. So I was fully focused on that. Totally went ham on that. And then when I actually started my official leave for that, honestly, the first I would say probably week or two, I didn't think about anything. I literally just caught up on sleep, uh, engaged in all forms of tomfoolery. It was just that was my celebration period. Like, oh, I did it. I'm free. I don't have to think about it anymore. I'm just chilling. But then after that, I was like, no, I should probably figure out something to do because now I won't be getting paid twice a month anymore. So I should probably figure that out. um, and then I was kind of looking into it, like all of the different, um, resources and things I had access to as a result of military service. And then I remembered, oh yeah, GI Bill's still a thing. Um, and for those who don't know, basically whenever you commit to doing any type of military service, you're entitled to certain benefits. One of which is there's different chapters of even that. There's like the post 9/11 GI Bill, Montgomery GI Bill, and there's like a few different other variations of it. But basically, it's benefits towards education, and it comes with like its own different perks and stuff. But honestly, if it weren't for the GI Bill, I honestly probably never would have gone to college. Um, Not because I don't, have the ability or whatever. I'm just honestly, I'm it's so weird because on paper I am a good student. Like, I know how to study things and get good grades and stuff, but I don't actually like school at all. like, I know how to do good at it, but like, I honestly would rather be like working and doing things rather than actual school. But then, see, then they got me because there's like, well, what if not only did we pay for your school, but what if we paid you to go to school? And I'm like, well, now you got my attention. So yeah, that's how I ended up doing that. And then ODU actually was, I would say for the most part, it was my top choice overall. I really just wanted to go somewhere that was, local to where I was at the time, which was Virginia. I've been here for a few years. And then I also wanted somewhere that was, obviously accommodating to military and had uh, at least average or above average art programs. Because I initially was a graphic design major. I did that for my first 3 semesters, and then I just switched to cinema and TV during spring of um, spring of 20 spring 2024. Yeah, it was just this past semester. So yeah, I just switched into that. But so yeah, that was like my main priorities. It was I chose between ODU and I believe it was I think it was the Art Institute in Virginia Beach, I want to say. And overall, just across the board, it seems like that was ODU was a better institution. And it only sweetened the deal when I found out a buddy of mine who was also separating around the same time as me was also going to be going there. So I'm like, well, it's a done deal now. So yeah. And this is just a me thing. This is how I've always been. I really like the colors of ODU. I like the blue and the silver and the white. And how it looks nice. It looks pretty. I like our mascot. I like our school for what it offers educationally, but also aesthetically. We have really good aesthetics. I like
Yeah, I mean that truly is. I mean, I think. I mean, it's so interesting to find out about that in your part of the journey, and also glad that you didn't go to the other. What was it? Educational institutes since they closed down. But
that.
so I mean, I guess everything worked out in that regard. But nevertheless, though, so how has everything been? I mean, navigating your time as a student, having just, of course, yeah, separated from the Air Force and then going into your studies, and then I know you already spoke about WODU, but what about your time joining the film club?
Yeah, it's been really cool. Film club was also fairly recent. I didn't actually start like doing stuff with film club on an official type basis until around I want to say like March or April of this past year. So it really hasn't been very long, but I have gotten to kind of do different things and try different things. I've gotten to be a production assistant, a what is it called? I believe it's called AP, like associate producer, assistant producer, which basically means there were a few different times where I got, or no, was it second AP? I think it was second AP, something like that. Anyway, the important thing is I got to yell out very official sounding things. Where it's like, roll sound, sound rolling, roll camera, that type of stuff. So I got to kind of be official and like watch the shot as it was, being taken real time and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, this is a good shot. I like this. So um, it's been really fun, and I've gotten in touch with even more creative types that kind of have a little bit of a better understanding of all the chaos that goes on in my brain at any given time, and just sort of that creative process. So it's been a lot of fun. I hope to play an even bigger role in film club going forward. I actually did apply for a position in film club to be what was it, the secretary. So we'll see how that goes. But even if I don't get that position, I'll still obviously be extremely enthused to be a part of Film Club because they do outstanding work. Just oh my goodness, there's so many talented people. Like I went to the most recent like short film festival that they have for like all the different student projects and ODU uh, productions. Um, and I'm telling you, like I think the main thing I can remember like saying and thinking about a lot of the things I saw because a lot of them were shot on campus. I remember saying I really didn't even realize our campus looked this good because like it. Oh my goodness! I'm telling you the cameras and like the the editing stuff, just like all the things that they have access to, and like just the the talent with like the techniques and everything. It's oh my goodness, it looks so pristine. I loved it. So again, going forward, I hope to have a bigger role in film club. Possibly even be like a full on producer or director of something. Work on something to get into the film festival myself. Maybe win an award for something. We'll definitely see how it goes. But at the very least, before I graduate or before I leave ODU or whatever, at the very least, I want to submit something or have something to submit for, like I said, the film festival. Win or not, just to even be, in the space, in the room, in the conversation with amazingly talented individuals that would mean so much to me.
I mean that. I mean, I know that you would, just do a great job with that, and yeah, and I really love your enthusiasm for. I mean, for the the creative drive, and so I would just be very excited to see, like I said, what you do and continue to do, and I know that that you'd mentioned that you love a little bit of anything and everything when it comes to the creative process, from from like you're saying, like your early enthusiasm for like animation to like to voice acting to even like dance and theater. And so overall, have you dabbled like outside of just film and video production, like into the other creative spaces?
Yes, absolutely. So this is going to be the part where it might get to be a little bit of a mouthful, but so like you touched on, I am a voice actor, which every time I say that, even now, I still freak out a little bit because I'm telling you, this is another thing I've been saying a lot more recently. Like, kid me would be so geeked at current me right now because even from like a young age, like I said, I was really enamored with the field of animation, and so just by default, I got really into like deep, obscure like voice actor knowledge, and so even now to this day, if you told me to like, if you gave me like a timer and said, okay, on this side of a piece of paper, name voice actors, and on this side, name like movie stars. I could probably name more voice actors, some of which people have never heard of. I could probably name more of them than like A-list celebrities at this point because I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect the craft all the way around. Of course I do, but like again, just voice acting in particular just has a very, very, very special place in my heart. So the fact that I'm actually doing that now, like professionally, for money, and people think I'm good enough to do all those things, and I can only stand to get better, and it can only stand to get better across the board. I'm like, is this real life? Is this happening? So, yeah. So, professional voice actor, um, definitely an actor because honestly, anything that I'm a part of filming, there's at least bare minimum an 80 to 85% chance I'm going to appear on camera in some degree. That's just how it seems to work out, and I definitely have a lot of fun with it. Especially if I get to be like super duper goofy. The goofier, the better. Um, and then as far as actual filming, I've done a little bit of everything there. I've been a director. I've been a producer. I've been a cinematographer to a slightly lesser extent. I've been a sound person. I've been an assistant. I've kind of touched on a little bit of all of those things, and have had a blast doing it all. Um, What else? Obviously, like content creation, just like little skits and videos and stuff. I've done that. Um, I have. That's another sort of mini dream of sorts that I've realized. Ever since I saw the first You Got Served, way back in the day, I'm like, this is the actual coolest thing ever. I need to be a part of a dance crew one day. And I have done that, albeit fairly briefly. I did have to drop out recently because stuff with like my voice acting and stuff actually picked up, and so I didn't want to, kind of overextend myself. But for a good little bit, I was a part of a dance crew. I was like this close to performing with them in the showcase, but again, I had to drop out. But that's been fun. Um, I have definitely considered getting more into the theatrical side of acting, but we'll just kind of see how that plays out. But that definitely would be something I'm interested in, as well as I can't guarantee when. I couldn't give you an exact date or time frame, but sometime in the near future, I'm definitely also going to, at the very least, try my hand at stand-up comedy, just because my brain, how it works, is just so comedy centric. It just, I mean, and it's not even one of those things where it's not even an ego thing. Like enough people at this point have told me that I'm hilarious and that I need to try it to the point where I need to try it. Um, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie. This is gonna sound stupid, but I'm gonna say it. There was this one random day. I think I was like 13 or 14. My mom was like, she was like talking to me. It was like one of those things where it was like kind of talky, but kind of a lecture also because I probably did something dumb. But and she was just like, I just, it's like you just you could be doing so much more, or this or whatever. It's like you're funny. You're so funny. I was like, whoa. You think I'm funny? Well, I mean that's official. If mom said it, it has to be true. She wouldn't lie to me. And if you know my mother, she definitely would not lie to me about that. So ever since she said it, I'm like, okay, I don't like to brag on myself. I really don't. I'm not a show offy person at all. But that from that day forward, that was one thing I could say. It's like, hey, you can't take it away from me. I'm definitely funny. So yeah, I definitely want to try stand up at some point. Be in full on productions, like a film, a TV show. That would be great. Um, if at some point or another I could get at least one character that's like my character as far as like a voice acting realm, that would also be really cool. Um, so that's definitely a goal. I don't know, man. It's just I honestly just want to see how far I can go with everything that I've ever wanted to do. That's really my goal. Because I mean, even some people would say, "Hey, that's a little bit unrealistic." I don't think so because let me see. I would say the perfect example that I can think of off the top of my head is Jamie Foxx. He literally does everything. Outstanding actor, outstanding voice talent. He can do so many impressions. Uh, Outstanding dancer, outstanding musician. Like he literally does everything. I would say Will Smith also falls in that category. He does a bit of everything. Jay Farrow. There's so many examples. So it's like I have no excuses. If I want to do everything, I can find a way to get it done. So uh, that's just kind of how I think about things like that.
Well, I certainly believe that you can do everything that you want to accomplish, and I'm very confident that you'll be able to get that done. And so, I guess for my two-parter question here, so okay, so if you okay, so for my two-part question, the first part is, how would you say that your persona is as a actor versus your time as a voice actor? And then the second part would be, since you mentioned that you would like a role that is your own, and that you'd like a little part in like every part of the creative process. So if you had to choose genre or whatever, what type of genre or character would you want for your voice acting, your film or TV acting, and then for your theater acting?
Oh my! Oh, that is a great question. So let me see if I can break this down. So the first question you said, is there? Correct me if I'm wrong. You said, is there like a difference between like my approach to it from regular acting to voice acting? Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Um. Um. I've never really thought about it. I guess sort of yes and no, and I would say just based on my current experience so far. Only reason I say that is because, at least on the voice acting side of things, as of right now, I've been exclusively doing pretty much voice acting in as it relates to sort of like advertisements and like promo of different things. So when you're doing that specific type of voice acting, um, hmm, I've never actually tried to describe this to anyone before, but it's interesting because at least this has been my experience up until now. So what they'll do is they'll obviously give you a script to look at, and um, it will, like, at the very top of it, before it even gets to what you're actually supposed to read. 9 times out of 10, it'll have like some specs at the top, which basically means essentially like a very general description of how they want you to come across. So, uh, just for example, like typical specs for something I would usually be would be like, okay, so we're looking for male, early 20s to mid 30s or something like that. Um, energetic, kind, uh, compassionate, or laid back, or something like that. And then sometimes it'll add like little, depending on the role, it'll kind of list other sort of subtleties under that, like uh, Midwestern accent, or in the spirit of a like Morgan Freeman or something like that. Like it'll just give you like these specifications that they want you to try to hit to the best of your ability. Um, so it gives you a little bit of room to play and like experiment with certain things, like certain tones of voice, certain sounds, certain sometimes certain accents, like certain cadences of speaking or different emphasis of words. So there is room to play around a bit, but at the end of the day, uh, to just really stretch out this metaphor as much as possible, all of your play has to happen within a very particular sandbox, if that makes sense. So, um, I would say in that sense, I guess when I really break it down that way, I guess there isn't really too much of a difference between my voice, between my approach to voice acting and acting, because at the end of the day, you are playing a role, and so yes, you have to be authentic to that role, but you also have to be authentic to yourself. Like it's so hard to try to explain. Like you can go in doing your best to sort of emulate a Morgan Freeman or a whoever or whatever, um, but at the end of the day, you're doing as much as you can, but you're not actually like trying to become that person. I'm doing a terrible job at explaining this, but um, I guess to actually answer your question, as far as my approach, it's not too different. I just try to do that. I try to be, authentic and hit all the marks that they tell me to hit as far as, who this character is and kind of, the sort of specifications they're trying to give me, but also at the same time injecting my own flavor, personality, quirks, everything, just trying to find a nice balance between what I add to the character versus what the character actually is. So I would say in that realm, they're for the most part the same thing, but the difference in them are just extremely nuanced to the point where I would honestly probably have an aneurysm even trying to explain it. um, and then um, I went on and rambled. Can you remind me of what the second part of your question was?
Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah. So the second part of the question is, since you mentioned that, like, you want varied experiences, yeah, across, for instance, like television and animation and theater. So, like, in that you would love to have your own original character,
Right, right,
for
right.
them. So, what would be your idealistic character, for the different mediums? And then I guess take it a step further. So, like, what genre would you even want, like, especially like for television?
Oh yes. Now, unlike the first part question, this part I've actually put a lot of thought into. So I think that honestly goes back to both my personality and just things that appeal to me personally. So obviously, myself included, obviously, but everyone loves a good villain. So I would love to play at least one, like, just mega evil person. Like, now how even that, there's so many different directions we could go with that. Where it's like, is it going to be like super cartoonishly evil, or is it going to be like a more like subdued, realistic? You can kind of understand his plight, sort of evil. Like, I would love to play villains. I would just love to kind of really stretch out and play around with that. On the flip side, I would also definitely love to play some form of hero. I think it would be really fun, kind of both ends of that spectrum, to be like a super stoic, super serious, like Batman type, but then also on the flip side, be like a kind of, carefree, cocky, almost like a. I say the best example I can think of right now is sort of like a Michelangelo from Ninja Turtles sort of thing, where it's like, I think it would be really fun to kind of play up both of those. Um, let's see here. Also, I think it would be fun. I think I would honestly feel most at home, obviously, playing a character that's like myself. And when I say that, I mean a character that's like his very sarcastic. His humor is kind of dry. He, like, any situation, anything that's going on, he always has like a wise crack or like some statement, or just he always has something smart to say. uh, that would also be a lot of fun. Um, oh man, let me think. Like, any archetype within that would be fun. I would say, if there were such a thing as a dream role, it might not exist yet, but I think a dream role would kind of be one or more of those things rolled into one. So, like, probably either the lead or maybe like a supporting character in either like a shonen anime, or probably some sort of like superhero or like super power centric thing. I think kind of taking all the things, all the different types of characters and tropes I enjoy, and kind of blending it all into one. I think that would be essentially my dream project if I could ever get to embody a character like that. It'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, so now I'm like in mental thought. I'm just like, it's like, see, now I can like think and visualize like some of these characters that you might like embody one day. And so like I'm actually thinking now of getting my creative thoughts in there. Is that what would your thoughts be like for a like a villain through a redemption arc become a hero, or maybe the other way around?
Oh, see, yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. I think that would be perfect because honestly, I think I relate most to those characters, like those characters who are very, very aware of the fact that they are sort of dark people or have darkness inside of them. And I actually do like those two extremes where it's like you see them at their worst doing these atrocious things, but then, be it gradually or because of like one major event, they kind of, slowly start to teeter towards the side of good. I think those are the most compelling characters, and I think they're the ones I enjoy the most, for sure. Like, oh, yeah, yeah. I think you hit it right on the head. I think that would honestly, like, something like that would be perfect.
And so, like for you consuming media, now that you've been doing stuff, of course, you said that do a little bit more now, like on the like advertisement side of things. But yeah, but like for instance, if you go watch a movie or a show, for instance, are you now like studying? It's like, okay, I wonder how they're doing, this voice, or like going through like, for instance, like behind the scenes things, or are you still able to enjoy? Because I know sometimes like when you're so deep into learning all different sides of the production that you're in it, it sort of takes away a little bit from the illusion, or it becomes sort of like a study material.
Yeah, no, you bring up a fantastic point. So it's honestly a little bit of both, I would say. So again, that was another thing I was super into from like a young age. Like, every after every single show that would end. That's actually how I found out about like voice actors and how I got into them so much was even as a kid, like a 4, 5, 6, 7 year old kid. I would watch the episode, enjoy it, just geek out over it, all the stuff. But then I would be one of those kids who would like pay attention to every single person in the credits. I'm like, okay, well, who did the voice of the? Oh, it was him. So, oh yeah, him. He was also in this. Oh, and he was in that other. So it's like that's how I kind of started my voice actor database in my brain. Um, so and then as I got older and different things came out, like behind, like you said, behind the scenes things on like DVDs or something, and YouTube and everything. That's when I started to get into like deep dive into the behind the scenes stuff. So it's like, okay, so how did they do this? How long did it take to do this? What all goes into this part of it? I've always been super fascinated. So as a kid, I would say I had a very, very good ability to do both. Like both just kind of get lost in it, enjoy it, but then also kind of take a step back and really get into like the inner workings of it. Like I think that's part of the reason I enjoy all of it as much as I do is because I am just as, if not more, invested in the how we built up this product and what went into making it what it is, as well as the enjoyment of what it ended up becoming. And once I kind of understand like the whole process of the creation, it makes me appreciate and even inspires even more questions into both the final product and how it could potentially evolve. You know what I mean? So I would say as I've gotten older and have gotten much more into like video essays and stuff, I will say when it comes to certain things, it's made me a little bit more analytical in a cynical type of way because now there's certain things that I really can't watch without being like, I mean, it was certainly a choice they made with that, but it was a dumb one. I wouldn't have done it that way, or like certain things like that. But for the most part, I am still able to get lost in it. But I would say in a different way, I'm still just as analytical, but it's just taken on a different form where it's like before it was like the wanting to know, and there is still some of that, but now it's like the both. It's more like a compare and contrast thing almost, where it's like I'm taking the things that I don't know or the things I kind of want to know more about on top of things I've learned in my base knowledge of things, and sort of like comparing, contrasting, and it just keeps expanding from there.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. And yeah, I know for me, like in finishing out my time in graduate school, like I was a media studies student in my bachelor's degree in lifespan digital communication for my master's, but I was very media focused, and so my thesis was on 3 different TV series, and so it required definitely a lot of analysis because obviously there's not really there was definitely a lot of academic articles that I cited, of course, but they're not all referencing the actual shows I'm speaking about. That's where, of course, I come in and write it, and so it definitely made me like go from like, oh, this is just a character I love and enjoy on the screen to okay, what are their thoughts and their passions? What was the writer's intent on putting this character here in this way? And and so it definitely is like, okay, let me dial it back a little bit. I can enjoy the shows again, but it's still like some part of me that's still like, okay, why are they here? Was this the best decision for the show? Okay, it's being renewed. How can it evolve from here? So Definitely is such a interesting thing, like putting a creative field and then trying to sort of put boxes in it to try to analyze it. It definitely is a interesting way, mixing like analysis with creativity, because they don't not everything necessarily has a reason. Some things like we just do just because we enjoy doing, and so that's just a part of who we are as humans. And so, outside of everything, to sort of segue into this, so what do you enjoy doing outside of just getting involved with your creativity and WODU, the film club, and your studies and everything in between?
Right. Well, I would say I'm pretty interesting because I would say these days I'm like 60% busybody and 40%, I don't even know, like sloth or koala or something. So with that being said, when I'm not like, I'm in so many ways, I tell people this all the time, in so many ways, I'm literally a walking contradiction because there's so many aspects of me that like, in a sense are like at war with each other, but it's just how I've learned to exist. So like, um, I would say since I became an adult, I don't truly, or it's very rare that I truly have a full, honest to goodness off day or like chill time, because even when I'm in the midst of just like laying down or taking a nap or waking up from a nap or watching something just in my leisure time, I'm always thinking about something. I'm always planning something, conceptualizing something. Um, and then if I do that long enough, or if a particular train of thought leads somewhere where it's intriguing enough to me, I will just break myself out of relaxation mode, and I'll just kind of get into, I have to explore this now. And then I'm like, and then I go back and forth between that and, all right, well, that was a good 2 or 3 hours. I think I've earned a nap. So I kind of go back and forth. But when I'm actually relaxing for real, as I said, I enjoy naps. I enjoy those a lot, probably more than anything now. I enjoyed, like I said, just leisurely watching things, gaming. Um, I enjoy sort of like making music and random beats in my free time. I definitely like doing random dances and stuff. Um, I think I said gaming already, and then I also, I mean, just fairly typical things. I enjoy basketball, both playing it and definitely like watching it, analyzing it, stuff like that. Um, Also, as of late, I've really got into what I consider, or what I have considered, old people things for a long time. So I'm really into like just random stuff like interior decorating and like carpentry and like I'm really one of those people where like if I see something where it's like this makes doing dishes easier and it makes it look better, I'm like I'm obsessed with this now. So stuff like that. But yeah, and I definitely enjoy just across the board, just absorbing all different types of media. I really find it so interesting, the different trends and different things that happen like on social media and stuff. Um, Anybody who is like actually familiar with me will tell you, some people might call it unhealthy. I don't know, but I'm on Instagram a lot, only because I truly do get a lot of inspiration from there. Like a lot of the viral trends, skits, as well as just like general news stuff going on in the world, stuff that might happen. Just so many things about how I process and sort of uh, intake and uh, do different things as far as that. Like just a lot of it happens because of things that I see on Instagram or things that people send me or stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time there, not like obsessive amounts of time, but I get so inspired, and there's like even things down to like the way people are like formatting memes and different like jokes now. It's just I find it all incredibly fascinating. It really tickles my brain in a particular way. So um, yeah, and then just typical other things like hanging out with certain people, um, going to the beach when I can, just stuff like that. Just chilling for real. If I'm not being 100% a busybody, I'm being 100% a koala or a sea turtle.
Well, before we begin, wrapping up everything, I will have to say I am just so enjoying this conversation, and I mean, and learning more about you and your thought process and your creativity, and I think it's just truly is just so genuine, and I'm like I said, just absolutely loving this conversation, and so I did want to ask too, were there any questions that you had, for me at this time, before we begin? Closing out, or is there anything about you that you wanted to share that we may have not discussed thus far in this conversation?
um, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm good. I think I've done a pretty good job of expressing how much of a weirdo I am. So, I mean, I'm pretty good. I would, I think while I'm thinking about it, I would like to just get your perspective a little bit as far as, I guess, just like your journey up until now, like, how things have been as far as, starting your different shows and podcasts and kind of what made you want to get into that and how you're sort of enjoying all of that so far. Because I really, I want to say while I have the opportunity before I forget, I really enjoy and I really respect the platform you built for yourself and kind of how you're, just going after it. I really like and respect people who do just that, who just go after the things that they are passionate about. And so yeah, I kind of just want to get your perspective on that as far as like kind of how you started and what it means for you to be where you are now, 80 plus episodes in, among other things.
I absolutely love that question, and I think there's just the perfect time, to do this here, of course, on episode 82, and so I mean, reflecting on this journey is just so interesting, and fascinating. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot, and so for me, like I had originally started content creation for the true purpose of helping others. That's something I have always like has been a central part of my mission. And I would say that for me, and like doing podcasting even, is that I never expected to do this full time per se. That, you know, and not to say that like I'm doing like a 40 hours a week or something. Not That's not really what I mean, but rather, putting out like, weekly episodes. But it just happened naturally, and I think it sort of is a testament to my drive to connect with others and for consistency, but also like what you were mentioning earlier on in our discussion about wanting to accomplish everything that you have set out to do. And so like for me, I had said I wanted to do in back in 2020, I had wanted to do an interview once a month, every month for the month of, and for the year 2020, new decade, new centuries. I mean, yeah, new decade. We are just like we wanted to make it the best year ever, and of course, 2020 was a interesting year, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so we were just like, okay, well, setback, people aren't available as much because of the pandemic, understandably so. Um, and so I was like, okay. I was thinking around actually this time about 4 years ago, and I was just like, what can I do to sort of resurrect my goals? And I'm like, you know what? It's kind of too late to do, once a month because, like, I did January and I did February. March was the pandemic because I did it at the end of every month. I was like, okay, well, this is July, and let's see what I can do. And I was like, okay, well, there's 12 months in a year. Let's do, 12 episodes. Just 12 interviews. I've already done the first two. And so let me just do the next 10. And then I would have accomplished my goal, because, or as I put it, a goal equivalent. Um, and so for me, I personally have August resolutions. I know a lot of people have New Year's resolutions, and so I start off the year with a thought, and then usually something or other doesn't quite work out in the way I want it, and then August is when I set the real goal for the year, the one that I can actually accomplish, and I usually do it, and it ends up becoming kind of the next year's goal in a sense. And so, thanks to my 2020 goal, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the number 10, and sure enough, I ended up recording uh, more than that, and I had people coming to me wanting to be on, and I was just like, wow, really? And like, I truly was going to do 12 and done, and so people wanting to keep coming on, and so sure enough, here I am. I'm still doing weekly episodes, and so my current show, I restarted and rebranded back in February 2023. As the long story short of that, I had two podcasts concurrent for about a year or two, and I decided that let's just do one show. Let's keep it simple. One show, I can put more effort into it because there are less episodes, but at the same time, it's more consistent too. So if I say tune in once a week, it's a lot easier than trying to find, an episode every other week on two different stations. That's just kind of convoluted, like I am. But nevertheless, though, I mean, I have been loving this journey and being able to speak with so many amazing people, such as yourself. And so it's been such an honor to do this, you know, and going through 2024 as we're finishing up the summer and, entering into the fall just sooner than we think. And so, yeah, but it's been such a journey, and I believe this year will end with number 100 of the rebrand, which would be 350 overall. And so it's hard to believe that I'm already this far into this current show, but I think I will do it. I'm going to continue doing it as long as I can do it, and I'm on a mission to bring people together, and that's my journey, and that's my story.
Outstanding, outstanding. I love that, and that echoes so many stories that I've heard before from things that went on to be legendary. Where it's, oh, I didn't even think this was going to be anything at first. I was just going to do this many, and then I was never going to do it again. And then it just, like you said, kept growing, kept building. And I heard a lot of similar things when you were speaking just now. So at least to me, that in itself is a good sign. And just like you said, I will also sort of echo that, which is absolutely keep going, keep doing it. I love what you have here. I love what you're building. And like you said, at the end of the day, it's all about connection and bringing people together, and I absolutely love that. So by all means, keep on with it, and I can't wait to see where it keeps going in the future.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, and so well, I was just gonna say, so yeah, as we're beginning to close things out, I did actually want to ask first. So, what does it mean for you to tell your story here on the podcast? And I know that that months ago that you had actually asked to be on, and so what does this really mean to you to I mean to have a chance to be here and for us to have this conversation?
Oh, it's actually been very interesting. Interesting, but in a good way. It's definitely been a blessing. Simply because, one, as I've sort of alluded to a little bit here and there, even knowing that I'm still very early on and I'm still sort of in the beginning stages of being slash becoming who I want to be. there were so many times, even more recently than more people would think. There were so many times where I never even thought I would get here. I never even thought I would get this far. I never thought I would get to the starting line of, like I said, being everything that I want to be and need to be and can be. So it's very interesting. It's extremely humbling. I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to have gotten this far. I'm thankful that I have the drive and desire to go even farther. Especially thankful to every single individual person who has believed in me, continues to believe in me, myself included, because I did not always believe in me. But yeah, I'm just, like I said, incredibly humbled, incredibly thankful, very eager, and very excited to see where things continue to go. And yeah, I don't know. I'm almost at a loss. It's just this feels like this will be one of those moments that maybe in the grand scheme of things will be like, oh yeah, I was on a podcast once, but it's just sort of the beginning of, like you said, me being able to kind of tell my own story in my own words, and can't wait to see how many pages it ends up being.
I absolutely love what it said that, and especially the terminology that you use with, yeah, how many pages your story, your journey will be, and yeah, I mean that's the thing about it is like one of the things I absolutely love is that everyone has their own story, and that no two people are have the same story, and so yeah, but it goes to the overall mission, like I said, bring people together. Whether I speak with one person or, for you now, the 145th person I've spoken with on, the podcast. Yeah, it's all part of the journey. And Julian, I did want to ask for anyone that wants to potentially follow you online or whatever the case may be, what are the best places for them to find you?
Yes. So as of right now, it'll probably change in the future, but as of right now, best place to find me is on Instagram at General Foolian. Just the word general and then the word fool and then IAN, all one word. Um, that's really the only social media I'm consistently on because, again, that's another one of my contradictions. I like social media for like I said, the information and the memes and the comedy and all the different stuff, but don't get it twisted. I mean, again, I have my moments, I have my spaces, but do not get it twisted. I'm extremely introverted. So I actually need to get a lot better with the social part of social media. But as stuff progresses and, some more opportunities and different things start to come along, I may sort of venture out into a few other platforms here and there. But for right now, Instagram. Any other platform, I'm either not on it or not on it as in I literally don't have an account, or not on it as in I do have an account, but I just don't check it. So Instagram is the main one.
I 100% understand that. I am a contradiction in that I'm a content creator, but I'm not much for being on the internet per se, despite that that's literally like I guess my job, so to speak. But yeah, and I like what you were saying too about that that's sort of a part of your introvert nature. And I know on your profile you actually have extroverted introvert.
Yeah, yeah. Like I have my moments. Like I can definitely be animated. I can be life of the party, but just understand: one, I'm going to be extremely tired afterwards, and I'm going to need a bare minimum of a day and a half not talking to anyone to recover from that. Oh, it's so interesting, but hey, it's what we do.
Yes, I 100% understand that. That's definitely the very similar to me. But last but certainly not least, I did want to ask if, as we're closing this episode out, if you have a life lesson, inspirational thought, whatever the case may be, the floor is all yours to share to end out this episode.
Oh man, he gave me a soapbox. um. Oh man. I'm trying to think of something to say that isn't just horribly, horribly cliche. But I guess I'll just speak from the heart as I always do. Uh, I guess my message would be that to anyone watching this, if you are in a place where I have found myself frequent amounts of times where you are lacking confidence, lacking direction, you're not sure what to do, and even if you have an idea of what you want to do, you're not sure if you are good enough to do it. Um, you gotta, and it's much easier said than done, and it takes a long time to get there. I understand there's a lot of intangibles that go into it, but from me, I want you to know one, whatever you dream of, whatever you want to accomplish, whatever you aspire to, just know you can do it. I believe in you wholeheartedly, and I'll always be rooting for you genuinely in anything you want to do. That's the most important thing about dreams. I think my boy Shia LaBeouf said it best. Don't let your dreams be dreams, right? Like you gotta anything you want in life, you gotta go for it. You have to. You are stronger, you are smarter, you are more capable than you can possibly imagine. And sometimes it takes just one other person to see that in you that you don't see in you. Because a lot of times, just we're too close to ourselves or too much in our own heads to really understand the potential we all have. But yeah, man, it's just all you got to do, and it can be the scariest, but all you got to do is just take that first step. Just take one step towards anything that you want to do, anything you think of, anything you dream of, and that as soon as you do that, it gets significantly easier over time. Also, at least one lesson I definitely could have used a lot earlier on and taken to heart a lot earlier on. Trust in yourself. You're honestly, I mean, I get it. Sometimes, for a lot of different reasons, over time we kind of lose trust in ourselves because of different circumstances, different environments, all sorts of, family, friends, people you think that are your friends that really aren't, just sort of different things. We lose confidence in ourselves over time, and we lose sort of that sense of wonder and just natural sort of, go after it thing that we all sort of have as kids, and it kind of like fades over time because of all these different factors. But at the end of the day, like that internal voice, that deep voice inside of you that like deep down you know what to do, or at the very least you know what you want to do, you know where you're feeling pulled to go, and you any way that it takes for you to get there, you have to learn how to trust in that and really be confident in it. Because there's listen, from now to the day you die and every day in between, there's going to be somebody telling you, hey, that's dumb. Hey, I don't think you should do that. Hey, that sounds like a bad idea. Now, don't get me wrong. If your idea is to, without any protection, set yourself on fire and jump into a pool full of gasoline, I wouldn't recommend something like that, obviously. But I mean, as far as things within the realm of reason, again, that inner voice, you already know what you want to do. You know what to do. You may not know how to get there necessarily, but deep down, we, at the very least, we all have a inner tugging towards whatever our passion is or whatever we want to do. You have to just trust in that, and you have to go after it. The way is not always going to be clear. It's not always going to be like, oh, at the end of your road, you are a movie executive, or you're a poet, or you're an engineer or a contractor. It's not always that clear cut, but you feel that pull of, hey, I like building things. Hey, I like drawing. Hey, I like, connecting people, whatever it is. We all have that deep down. So as long as you just trust that internal pull, you will eventually find your path. You will eventually find your happiness. And it's all about that, just learning how to trust yourself, trust that internal voice, and then just taking the necessary steps to continue to better yourself and make yourself more confident in your abilities. And that's very vague, very broad, uh, but I would say it's a good starting point for a lot of people. Just whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you joy, regardless of if you're getting money from it or not, or whether people think it's stupid or not, just go for it. Because if you have that happiness and that internal joy, that internal motivation for things that really drive you to get up in the morning and be the best you can be, no matter what it is, if you just keep following that, everything else will fall into place as far as what your path is, what you're supposed to be doing, where you need to go, who you need to be in touch with. It'll all just start falling into place piece by piece. And I am living proof of that. So, um, anyway, that's the end of my tangent. That's all I had to say.
Well, like I said, thank you so much, Julian, like I said, for coming on and for enlightening us and for giving us, yeah, a laugh as well. This has truly been so fun, and I've absolutely enjoyed this.
Hey, I've enjoyed this so much. I sincerely appreciate you for having me. I hope to maybe be on again in the future. And yeah, man, like I said, thank you so much, and definitely keep this going. I love what you got going on here.
Thank you so much, and I certainly will. For those tuning in, thank you so much as always for tuning into the Tansson Talk Show. I always appreciate your support and continue tuning in every week as we continue on our mission to bring people together. I'll see you next time. Take care.
Peace.